there's 3 fall feasts, start in September, October. Rosh Hashanah. Rosh means Rosh is head. Rosh Hashanah, head of the year. That happens on the first day. If I had time, I would explain it all to you in detail. On the first day of the 7th month, which is the most holy month, even till this day in Judaism, on the first day, you will celebrate Rosh Hashanah. But it's not called Rosh Hashanah, it's called trumpets. It has to do with trumpets. There are 2 kinds of trumpets. There's a silver trumpet, just silver, no seams, silver trumpet. And then there is, what's that? Shofar. That's the other kind of trumpet. 2 kinds of trumpets. And the blowing of the trumpets had 2 major purposes: to call God's people to his presence. That was number 1. To call his people to his presence when they were out in the wilderness and they had a tabernacle under Moses. Now I'm back in the Old Testament. You had 12 tribes. There was over 1 million of them. They were spread way out for miles. They had no phones, none of the communications that we have and can't live without. They had the trumpet, and they would blow the trumpet certain signals, certain lengths, maybe too short and too long. It varies, and that signals a message. And it's often to call the people to God's presence was one reason for the blowing of the trumpet, and the other was when they were to go to war under divine direction. And this feast, the first, after there's about 7 months of no feasts, we come to the fall now, 7th month, first day, the blowing of the trumpet. It's the day of the Lord. It's when God is going to war. Believers are going to be caught up to meet the Lord in the clouds, and then he's going to start the process of judging the earth. The next feast is 10 days later. It says that clearly. I'm not making it up. The first one, Rosh Hashanah, is on the 1st of the month. The next one is Yom Kippur. That is the Day of Atonement. It's on the 10th. So we went from the 1st of the 7th month to the 10th of the 7th month. Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. There was 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. They're called the Days of Awe, A-W-E, the Day of Awe. And when one religious Jew would pass another Jew during those 10 days of awe, A-W-E, they wouldn't say shalom, which they say now, shalom. Like we say hello or good morning, they say shalom, peace. Or they may say shalom alechem, peace be unto you, or alechem shalom, unto you be peace. But during those 10 days, there'll be no festivity, no hard work, no marrying, that very solemn, very sacred. And during that 10 days, when one Jew would pass another, if he was religious, till to this day they'll do it. If you go to New York or to Miami or to Jerusalem, Orthodox Jews till this day, when they pass another, on the 10 days of their calendar between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they will say, may your name be inscribed in the book of life. May your name be inscribed in the book of life. For the 10 days or the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, from when God's going to rapture the church and begin to judge during the day of the Lord, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, between that 10 days, they go by, may your name be inscribed in the book of life, because they have, and I'm not saying this is all in the Bible, but there's some hints of these things in the Bible, by Moses and by King David, and they've written about books. But I'm not endorsing this is biblical fully, but I want you to understand, they would say there are 3 books that are pulled out between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. This is on the fall. This is the fall, and it has to do with the second coming of Christ to the earth. First, to rapture the church, resurrect the dead in Christ, then begin to judge the earth during this period of time, this 10 days. And it's Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. They say there are 3 books. One is the book for the man of light, the righteous man. He gets his name in the book. He's righteous. One is an unrighteous man, another book. He won't survive throughout this year. And the third book, the book of the man who is in between, not bad enough to be wicked, to be condemned, not good enough to be in the book of life. Now, this is their theology, but the point is, it has to do with Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement, because what is going to happen, and if I could get into the eschatology with you, it's talking, remember, these are feasts that God made with Israel. Rosh Hashanah, the day the trumpets, and then Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. It's when the Antichrist is here telling people to worship him, to take his mark, and many will do that, but there will be some who will not and will remain faithful. It's during that period of time, the Great Tribulation, when some will reject and they'll follow the Antichrist. Some will reject and they'll follow the true Christ. They shall look upon him who they have pierced, and they shall mourn as one who mourns for an only child. And in that day there will be a fountain of cleansing open to the descendants of David. That's what is being talked about here, is the trumpets, when the day of the Lord, when Jesus is coming back to resurrect the dead, rapture the living, beginning to purge the earth. It's going to be when Satan is doing his terrible things here on the earth. And 5 days later, it says that. First of the 7th month, then the 10th of the 7th month, and then the 15th of the Jewish month.